So now the next physicochemical property is partition coefficient. Partition coefficient is basically determined in order to know how our drug will move out through the different levels of the body as after administration it reaches to the systemic circulation. For example, we have taken it orally, then it will be absorbed through that of the membranes. Now all the membranes which are present inside our body they are made up of the phospholipids, and because of their lipid behavior, how they allows the drug to diffuse from the GIT tract, means from that of the epithelial membranes to the systemic circulation, and from systemic circulation to during the elimination from the blood it has to move out also. Now, so in order to determine the diffusion and partitioning behavior of the drug, we need to determine the partition coefficient, and under the in vitro condition the partition coefficient is determined by concentration of drug in the octanol phase, or we can say it is an oil phase, and concentration of drug in the aqueous phase, means water. Now if we says it is the ratio of the concentration of the drug in the oil phase and the concentration of the aqueous phase, it is basically done since our gastrointestinal fluids are, if I am considering the oral therapy, then gastrointestinal fluids will be the exposing area, exposing fluids to the drug. Now as the drug will reach to the surface, they will be exposed to the gastrointestinal fluid. Now here the drug will, our formulation will disintegrate, dissolve, and then drug will be released from the formulation. Now drug has to partition between the two phases, means some amount will go into the solution state and some will not go into the solution state. So in order to determine how much of the drug will permeate across the membrane, then it has to cross the lipid layer. Now it is the oil phase. So in order to predict the behavior of the drug inside our body, that how it will cross the lipid membranes, we determine the partition coefficient, and it is best explained by the Hens equation. And Hens has given a correlation between the logarithm of the activity versus log K value, means log K is logarithm of the partition coefficient. Hens has explained, this equation explains that the hyperbola is obtained when we plot logarithm of the activity versus logarithm of the partition coefficient. Now here the peak is obtained, and this side of the peak, the two sides of the peak represents the different phenomena. For example, if the value of the K, here the value of K will be bigger. If the concentration of drug in the oil phase will be more, then value of K will be bigger. If concentration of drug in aqueous phase will be more, then value of K will be less. Means this area will represent the solubility if we comes towards the zero. It is the 0 point, and if it comes towards the zero, it means drug is becoming more, and here it is there is a balance. The peak position represents a balance, means it has the suitable hydrophilic lipophilic balance. Now if we comes here towards the left side, then it will represent the hydrophilicity is increasing. If we are going away from the central position, then it is representing hydrophobicity is increasing. Now in both the cases, if we consider over here that this position, it is the best position, means at which a drug has a suitable hydrophilicity as well as suitable lipophilicity, means it can easily dissolve as well as it can easily permeate. But most of the drugs are not falling at this point. They are either towards this phase, towards the left side of the graph, or towards the right side. So if we consider a drug, how we will consider the drug, means if a drug has a value of log K value equal to 3, then we say it's the suitable candidate. But if its value is significantly less than 3, then it is the poor candidate. because it will become more and more hydrophilic, means it will have higher solubility. Higher solubility, then it will be difficult to regulate its solubility and slow down its solubility. It will be very difficult. But if its low K value is higher than 3, for example it is 6, 7, 8, then it is so much of the lipophilic that it will take very longer time to dissolve in the solution or into the aqueous system, because it is lipophilic nature. Then again, as we have discussed, the aqueous solubility will be very poor, and then it will not be the suitable candidate. So partitioning will be dependent, means if K value is near to 3, for example if a drug has a value 2.5, 2.1, or if it has a value 4.3, 4.6, then it will be a suitable range to formulate these kind of the drugs into the controlled drug delivery system or into that of the sustained drug delivery system. But if this value exceeds towards the extremities, then they will not be the suitable candidate for the controlled drug delivery systems. Next property that is considered over here is the drug stability. Means how your drug is going, whether your drug is stable inside the body or not. Now, drug stability. Drug stability need to be considered. For example, if we take a drug, if it goes into our gastrointestinal tract, for example we are taking orally, then if it goes into the gastrointestinal tract, then what will happen here? It will be exposed to the acidic environment of the stomach as well as enzymes like pepsin inside the stomach. Then it will goes to the intestine. In the intestine it will be exposed to the pancreatic secretion, which will be loaded with that of the loads of the digestive enzymes, proteolytic enzymes, lipase and our salivary carbohydrate digesting enzymes, and those secretions will facilitate the digestion of the drug. For example, if I take an example, if I am willing to make a controlled delivery system for the insulin. Now I know insulin is a protein and it gets denatured at the acidic environment of the stomach, since pH of the stomach is 1 to 3. 1, 2, 3, in between the 1 and 3. Now, if it will be in that range, then it will be denatured, and if a protein gets denatured, then it will not be able to show its pharmacological activity. So, what I have done an enteric coating. Now, I have done an enteric coating by making use of the hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose phthalate. Now, if I am saying I am coating it by hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose phthalate, then it will be dissolving into my duodenum. Now, as it will be dissolved, it will release the drug into the duodenum, and then drug will be easily available in the jejunum. But as the pancreatic secretions will come, they will again digest the insulin and drug will not be able to show the pharmacological activity. Now, there is a need that we should search a suitable route as well as suitable location where my drug will remain stable. Now, drug stability is also considered while considering whether the extended release or controlled drug delivery system are to be formulated for a particular drug or not. If my drug is stable in the stomach, then okay, it's easy, it can be formulated. It is stable in intestine, it can be easily formulated. For example, if I say my drug has a stability issue in the stomach, then I will deliver in the intestine. If it has a stability issue in the small intestine also, then I will deliver it into the large intestine, because in the large intestine no digestive enzymes are present, only the healthy bacteria are present. Now, if it will be delivered into that of the colon area, then it can be absorbed and we can have the effect, for example. Or now the next case, my drug is unstable in the small intestine as well as in the large intestine, then I have to retain the drug into the stomach. Then it can be formulated into the suitable formulations like floating drug delivery systems. But these systems, if drug is unstable throughout the gastrointestinal tract, then it's very difficult to formulate a suitable formulation for these kind of the drugs. As well as now, this is the case and consideration that we have considered the issue of drug stability. But sometimes it also happens drug is causing the severe side effects inside the stomach. For example, in case of the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, for example, we take the case of the aspirin. This aspirin is acidic in nature and it increases acidity inside the stomach. Now, in order to bypass the stomach, even though we know it is highly absorbed in the stomach as it remains unionized, we have also calculated mathematically under the heading of aqueous solubility, but it will not be safe. It may cause ulcer if I am taking it regularly for a very longer duration. So I need to avoid the exposure of the stomach to the drug so that it can have some acidic effect. Now, if I have said this, then it has to be shifted to the intestine. Now, here what I am doing, I am not only considering the drug stability, I am also considering the safety of my GIT tract, where means stability of the drug is one issue, and if I want to protect my gastrointestinal tract, then again I need to consider the thing. If my drug is not safe for a particular area, then also I consider the parameters, its properties, how it can be formulated so that I can have a more stable formulation with safety. So these points are also considered. Next thing comes, that is the protein binding. Protein binding basically is the phenomena that our drug, when it gets dissolved, it gets absorbed and in systemically, and after reaching to the systemic circulation, it binds to that of the plasma protein. And if a drug has a higher plasma protein binding, for example, if a drug has 95% plasma protein binding, if a drug has 99% plasma protein binding, then these kind of the drugs are not the suitable candidates to be formulated as a controlled drug delivery systems, because as most of the drug that is in the solution state is in the bound state. For example, I see there is 100 molecules of the drug, they reaches to the blood and 95 gets bound. Only 5 are free and they are showing the pharmacological effect. Then among that 5% of the drug again will be this, as we know, if the drug is bound to the protein, then it is in the form of complex, and that complex will be broken down and then further amount of the drug will be released and there will be a particular amount of the drug. After a particular duration, this complex will break down and release certain amount of the drug. For example, 5% of the drug will be here, 5% of the total drug is released and 95% is bound. Then out of those 95 molecules, if 5% will be released, then how much will be left? Then it will be near about near about 89%. Then again 5% will be released from that. Then again it will be coming towards the 83% or like that. If we calculate it mathematically, then in this way the drug is leaching out and releasing. So it is already prolonging the amount of the release of the drug from the protein binding, because of which it will have the higher T half, and if it has a higher T half greater than 8 hours, then it will not be the suitable candidate for the controlled drug delivery system. And if it has a T half less than 2 hours, then it will also not be the suitable candidate. Means those drugs which will have the T half or between 2 to 8 hours, they will be suitable candidates, and it will be also dependent what is their extent of plasma protein binding. If they are highly plasma protein bound, then they are not the suitable candidate for the controlled drug delivery system. But if they are least bound, for example, a drug binds 50%, 45%, 30%, then they are the suitable candidates whose release you can prolong by making the controlled drug delivery system, and their rate and extent of drug delivery their rate as well as extent of release can be easily modulated, and they will not show any kind of the damaging effect inside the body. Next comes, that is the molecular size. Molecular size and diffusivity. Molecular size and diffusivity.